As Matt just mentioned, we have a breaking news story to tell you about.
It is one of those days that you'll never forget.
Apparently, a plane has just crashed into the World Trade Center.
Looks like 6, 7 floors were taken out.
We weren't even thinking of terrorism. That was the last thing from our mind.
The building's exploding right now. You got people running up the street.
Mom, like, why are you crying? Like, what's going on?
Where the explosion, we heard that it was a plane down. Can you confirm?
I remember wondering if this is the end of the world.
At the World Trade Center.
The first thing I remember about 9/11/2001 was one of my kids coming in the bedroom as I was getting ready for work and telling me that an airplane had flown into a building. Didn't think too much of it at that time.
Yeah, they say no way it's a jet that size.
The only thing I remember was I was sitting in the kitchen and my mom was French braiding my hair for school. We have a little TV in my parents' kitchen, and I just remember her watching the news and being really upset. Like, why is the news showing a plane crash? And I had no idea what was happening.
And I looked up, and all of a sudden it smashed right dead into the center of the World Trade Center.
Got to my sister-in-law's house, took my son in, and we were just kind of talking, and there it was on the news, and I watched the second plane hit the tower.
A very large plane just flew directly over my building, and there's been another collision.
So I'd been in the Guard for a while. When this happened, I'm like, this is big, and we're going to go somewhere. The bulk of our unit went out and handled the security at DIA.
With the Night City activities in New York, be advised is they're primarily going to be used for medevacs for however many days at this point. Over.
So we went to the Western Slope, so we had security for that whole Western Slope, all of those airports up there.
I was in Mrs. Mo's 7th grade math class.
Yeah, stop all departures. Looks like it went into the Pentagon.
We were all just staring at the TV and not knowing what's going on, and being 12 or 13, not really knowing how to comprehend what it was. Like, it really just seemed like some sort of movie.
FAA has shut down all aircraft now, and they are now going back and trying to sort that out.
Driving a lot faster than I was to get to my grandparents' house. So I told them, I said, have you guys heard about what had just happened? And they said no, and I turned the TV on. And so for the rest of the day, rather than working fields, tending to the cows and the horses, we're watching the news like the whole nation was.
North of the situation on the World Trade Tower.
I received a phone call from my sergeant at the time, and he goes, hey, I know it's your day off, but I know you're willing to come on in. Can I give you a really bad assignment? And I said, sure. And he says, I need you to go to the mosque, work security there.
The captain of the Port of New York has suspended all vessel traffic in the upper New York harbor until further notice.
Started dealing with the calls that were coming in. There were a lot of panicked people calling in. There were a lot of people now reporting suspicious people.
I don't know, everybody just doesn't know where to go. They won't everything is blocked off. You can't even, they're telling us to get out, but there's nowhere to go.
I think the thing that was amazing to me was how quiet it got. No more jets were flying that particular day. And then when we went to the grocery store to get food, it took us 3 hours to get out of the store because so many people had so many questions.
We knew that the Pentagon had been attacked, and there were rumors that there were other government buildings. Maybe the U.S. Capitol building was going to be next. And so everybody was just waiting for the next piece of news.
Would you like us to try to evacuate anybody off the north seawall? Over.
And then I heard that another plane hit, and if you go over by there, you can see the people jumping out the window. They're jumping out the window right now. Oh my God.
Call said it's going to be massive casualties and massive medevacs.
Was the whole idea that those trade towers could catch fire and burn.
Still the images that you can replay over and over again in your head of people jumping out the windows and falling to their death, doing anything to get away. Doing anything to be safe, and even taking their own lives because that was the only choice left for them.
A huge explosion now raining debris on all of us. We better get out of the way.
Quite extraordinary. These are the emergency workers who are coming back so desperate they just wanted to get out of there. Now, many of them are beginning to regroup. A couple of them asked me where their commander might be. They're trying to get together and go back in there.
When you seen the fire at first, feel that's going to be a hard fire to put out, just due to the location. When the first tower came down, that was horrible. Not only for, you know, the families and all that, but knowing that there were firefighters in the building, and you watched it happen.
The amount of sacrifice that those first responders gave on that day makes it, you know, heavier times 1,000.
Where normally we hear about, you know, what had happened to a death of a firefighter or a police officer or a paramedic, you hear about it, you never actually witness it. And I think that was the hard part, was saying, oh my God, I know what happened. I know what just happened.
Today our nation saw evil, the very worst of human nature.
That out of 130 of his buddies that were in there, 17 came out.
And we responded with the best of America.
My buddies are in there. I got to go digging rubble. It's what would you need me to do to help?
Right through here, need a bucket line.
None of us will ever forget this day. Yet we go forward to defend freedom.
And then we deployed overseas, and we came back from our deployment August of '07. So for our deployment, for many of us, it was over 20 months that we were gone. We did 111 air assault missions. Our medevac, I think our final total was 6,600 soldiers from all over Iraq. We moved over 60,000 tons worth of equipment. It was kind of surreal because it had been, we were several years past the 9/11 incident. Everybody wanted to go over there and hope that we were the last people that would have to go and that Iraq would stand up on its own. And you know, there was always that challenge.
Thank you for joining us as we pay tribute to the nearly 3,000 innocent lives that were suddenly and violently taken from us at the World Trade Center in New York City, at a quiet field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and here at the Pentagon.
So I think back to that day, and I think that I never would have believed that that had ever happened.
It was just something that you don't expect to see. One of those things that you could go your whole life without seeing.
We will never forget the lives lost and tremendous sacrifices made on that fateful day and in the years that follow.
I think it's in many ways and in many circles,
it's kind of forgotten about.
I think it's absolutely imperative for this country to remember that this can happen in this country.
To the friends and families of those who have perished, no words can ever soothe your grief. No act will ever replace your loss. No remembrance will ever fill that void.
To understand the sacrifice that those people gave that day, that needs to be taught so they understand that this is the way the fire service is, this is the way the police department is, this is the way the ambulance service is.
It makes me really proud that I can hopefully make those people proud and their memory proud.
On September 11th, 1999, I was blessed by an angel. His name was Michael Patrick Eichen. I really feel that, you know, that day was when God sent me his angel.
It really tied everything together. It's probably one of the heaviest experiences that I've been through, going through the 9/11 memorial.
He always treated everybody with dignity, no matter if they were a star or if they weren't a star. And I think that was very important.
You know, you see fire trucks and gear and examples of the loss of life there, and it's overwhelming.
John was a music and dance king. He was always the first one on a dance floor, sort of opening the dance floor, and always the last one off the dance floor.
I went with friends of mine that aren't in the fire service, and they said it was the heaviest experience they've had in their lives too. So being part of the fire service made it that much more meaningful for me to see it.
He always strove to be a little bit better every day. He was very self-analytical and philosophical and always strove to be better.